Hello, I'm Greg Spero, founder of the Recording Club, pianist and composer, and I'm really excited to welcome Jodi Yang and the Joyous podcast here to the Recording Club today.
Thanks, Greg.
Jodi has an incredible podcast where she interviews very interesting people about their very interesting lives, and Adam Blackstone is no exception to that. I've known Adam for a long time. I would say one of the most prolific, if not the most prolific, music director in the entire world. Adam has an incredible breadth of history, doing some of the most significant events in music, and he has an incredible project of his own. So I'm very excited to turn it over to Jodi and to Adam, and I'll participate a little bit.
Thank you for having me, my bro.
Such a pleasure, my man.
Thank you. And Jodi, thank you for having me as well.
Thank you, Adam.
No problem.
So where did the inspiration for everything come
Yes.
from? Your music.
It's so interesting. I feel like I've lived two lives in this young age of 44. I was inspired early by church. My parents, my dad is a very prolific pianist. What we would say now would be a wedding band guy. You know what I mean? What we would call today. But I, just like yesterday, remember him coming home from working a 9 to 5 and like telling my mother, I'm not going back to work. I'm going to pursue this music thing full time. And we're like, what? Like, you know what I mean? And, you know, early 90s, that's like, you know, traditionally for black culture as well, it's kind of like you get a job, you move in the same house, you just kind of stay there, you know what I mean? And to shake it up a little bit with creative arts specifically, which is as we all know, is a not the most structurally foundational job to have a check every week. Possibly you may have a big check, you may have no check for 2 weeks, you know what I mean?
Famine.
So yes, and so him and my mom have been my inspiration from very, very long time.
There's
Long ago.
a story out there that you were 6 when he discovered you had perfect pitch. You were at church and...
Yeah, I would say that I have very, very, very good relative pitch. I know some perfect pitch people, and they are extraordinary.
But great rhythm, it's in your bones.
Yeah, it's in my bones. I am a pocket kind of guy, as we say in the music scene, and definitely rhythmically and sonically as well. I have been on the forefront of making sure things were proper for a long time. Probably got on some adults' nerves, making sure that they were singing and playing the right thing. So my family was heavily involved in Black church. I then went to school in Philadelphia, which I hear you did too.
That's right, around the same time.
Yeah, same time. University of the Arts in the year 2000. And even right before that in high school, fell in love with jazz as well. And began my music performance degree there in jazz studies. So that was the first half of my life as far as inspiration is concerned. There's a whole second half that we'll probably touch with my children being the inspiration to continue to move forward and impact culture and impact people and have legacy.
And that's BBE, which you started with.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, BBE, we are a foundational company based on the East Coast that allows music staffing to happen all over the world.
Wow.
There was a moment in time I'm super thankful for where I was on a high trajectory and I just couldn't be everywhere that these artists and record labels needed me to be.
Yeah.
I was like,
couldn't scale yourself.
I couldn't do it. And so my wife and I decided to start a company. And when the record labels called, it was like, hey, I can't be there, but my company will represent me, and just know that when these decisions happen, when these logistics happen, when these chords happen, when these all happen, it's still run through me and it's as if I'm there.
Wow.
And so that's what BBE is and has been for the last, that would have been 2012, 2013.
Wow.
So about
over 10
a
years
little over 10 years for sure. And we've been blessed to staff, the Grammys, Oscars, Tony Awards, Super Bowl after Super Bowl, NBA All-Star after All-Star. I just did the World Series this year as well.
Champions League.
UEFA Champions League, and just so many other like countless tours that I can't even begin to name, from Justin Timberlake to Rihanna to Alicia Keys to, you know, everything. It's been a wild ride of gratitude and thankfulness for sure.
Clearly, passion and joy drive everything you do.
Yes, for sure.
How do you pick amongst the projects? I mean, I guess some of the BBE project came from involving your wife as a life partner and a partner in work, but also scaling yourself and your many talents over
Yeah, I always
technology.
tell young guys, man, that, you know, I always tell the young guys that you are, each gig is the audition for the next thing.
Yeah.
So when you ask me how do I pick, I just want to do everything in excellence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so at this age that I am now, probably 10 years ago to 15 years ago, I said yes to everything because I wanted to prove myself in the different idioms that the people were calling me, whether that be in country music, whether that be in hip hop, whether that be on television, whether that be in film. I was like, I'm doing it. And they're going to notice me doing it because it's going to be such at a high quality.
Yeah.
Now, I'm super thankful to be able to pick and choose. And a lot of musicians honestly can't say that, you know what I mean? Because it's still a job. But my time is my most valuable thing right now.
100%.
And so it's the equity that I have for myself and for my family. And so it just has to make super sense for me to take that time away from some things that I either already have committed to or some things that are more of a priority where I'm at in life right now.
So what are the priorities that you want from a continuity standpoint, and what are the new challenges you're looking to take on board?
That's great. The priorities would be serving at a still high level, even though you may have already made it.
Yeah.
You know, I think there are some people out there that in the creative arts space that once they have done some things, it's kind of like, I'm cool, you know, this doesn't mean that much to me. And we're human beings, so we fall into a funk at times. But the hard things are what you're passionate about. If something comes hard to you and it like makes you want to think about it all the time or almost don't want to do it because it's challenging, those are the things that matter.
Yeah.
I've learned that
The most important stuff can be the most painful stuff to do.
for sure. And that's in relationships.
Feel that.
That's in parenting, definitely in the music business as well. And so I'm learning to make those hardships work for me. I'm learning to be still and continue to pray and seek God's face in everything that I do, not just because I have the talent or not just because I have the resource or I have the connection, because ultimately all of that for me comes from God. So he wouldn't give me this platform if I wasn't there to, number one, do it in excellence, and also him to trust me with this gift of music. So I'm making sure that that is a priority for me outwardly moving forward. Yeah.
And
also representing culture. I think that people of color don't always have the opportunity and the platform to see other people of color do things of excellence without it being playing ball or rapping or singing. And I'm a musician, so I'm not knocking those things. But I also, you know, I just did a panel the other day. I was like, hey, I see the same cameraman at the Super Bowl. Like, you don't have to play football to be at the Super Bowl every year. You know, I thought I was going to be in the NBA. I play NBA All-Star game, and I curate the music for the cheerleaders now. It's like I still get to go to the game. I still get, you know what I mean? So I see the same announcers. I see the same stage managers. Like, there are so many other jobs that I think, you know, people of color don't know are available, especially minority men and women. And that's one of my biggest goals too, as well, is just to open up that platform for people to say there is opportunity. And what do you want to focus on and strive to be? You know what I mean? So even my son is here because of my buddy Greg and doing his first podcast. So just
10 years old.
Yeah, seeing facilities like this, man, is really inspiring to children all over.
Thing.
You know what I mean? So thank you for opening your doors. And just, you know, it feels optimistic once you're able to tangibly touch and do something that was just in your brain at some point. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I want to do this. But I'm like, okay, daddy's going to call his friend. We're going to see if we can do it. And boom, there it is. It's like, you know, I don't know about y'all, but for me, when I thought something back in the day, it wasn't always that easy to
just do it.
to just do it. So I'm thankful to have the resources, the connections, my friends and family that allow us to, number one, we look out for each other. There's as big as the musician community is, it's a small community of good people.
Yeah.
And so that's another one of my goals, is to just make sure good people continue to stick together.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
You're talking about where you spend your time and your time being your greatest resource. I know you've like climbed the highest mountains that you can climb in your lane, in your profession, music directing, the Super Bowl,
Oscars, Grammys, winning an Emmy.
Yes.
So, you know, one of the things I think about a lot as an artist, and I have it's guided a lot of my decisions, is like, in this, however many years we have, 80, 90 years.
Yeah, we pray.
What do we want to, we're hoping that we get there, but what do we want to have lived? And I know that you have so much creativity on your own independent musical side.
Yes.
You have your own project that we've talked about for years.
Yeah.
And how do you feel?
4 now.
Yeah.
I got 4 projects out, man.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And how do you feel, like, what's important to you now that you've climbed these mountains?
Yeah, so my first album is entitled Legacy. And that rolled off my tongue so fast when I heard the track. My boy Brett Baker from Delaware sent me a track, and it was like this hip-hop jazz fusion of just soul, and I was just like, legacy, oh, legacy. It just came to me. And just like we were talking about as far as using your gift, using your voice, I think that what's important to me is legacy. There are a lot of people that we have lost over the last couple of years through COVID, through life, just in life. And that gives you reflective time to see, what have I done to impact culture, to impact family, to impact my legacy, my children. And don't get me wrong, if I was to, you know, check out of here and God saw it was my time, watching, you know, a Justin Timberlake concert or the BET Awards or you know, listening to a Jill Scott record or a Kirk Franklin recording is really cool. But now that I have my own things and my own music that really came from a place of love, faith, brokenness, parenting, relationship, it just means something different to have your own. So I think that, you know, me and you have talked about this also just on the side. It's just like, man, to know that your own music impacts people, it just feels a little different. And so I see everything that you're doing. I'm inspired by that. My journey is my journey, and it's like I want to inspire people to. Oh, I tell all my friends, man, put the music out.
Yeah.
My mentor Jazzy Jeff told me.
So many people don't.
They don't. Yeah, my mentor Jazzy Jeff told me to like die empty. You know, take those hard drives, take those laptops.
Yep.
Take those old tracks.
Give it to the world.
Give it to the world. You know, let's use
that's
this.
you.
Let's use this technology that the world has blessed us with to update old ideas. You know, you never know what song, what chord progression, what style is gonna resonate, and then impact somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going into approximately like my 21st year of like professional music.
Okay.
And so I have a 19-year-old nephew that's like wasn't born when I started really doing it.
Yeah.
So,
It's
you
crazy
know,
to think.
even some old
Yeah.
ideas, and even my son being 10, it's like, you know,
It's new again.
it's really new again.
Yeah.
It really is. So, you know, he gets to see this back half of life from me where I'm working on my own music. Definitely still helping artists and doing the best shows that I can do, but also it's a just different thing when you're focused on yourself. So I plan on choosing self in this next 44 years. You know what I mean?
love
With
that.
with my priorities still being intact with family and my children, but I definitely plan on choosing self because we're not always taught how to do that, when to do it, why to do it. And so I'm learning. I'm still in that big age, really, really learning.
Yeah.
It's a real privilege.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, for me, it's a privilege to talk to legends and
Oh,
help
thank you.
them document their legacies.
Thank you so much.
Because that's so essentially human. It's what we want to be remembered by.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
That's like that bit of immortality we're all striving to leave on this earth. You know,
Yeah.
just having it be a little bit better than we found it.
And we found it for sure, for sure. If I can leave here and have some people say he was a good person, he looked out, he fed my family a little bit, and you know, he always, you know, gave of himself. That's really what it's here for. Music, I just named 4 or 5 things. Let the music be 6th and 7th and 8th. You know what I mean? Like it's the character matters. And so I'm trying to, you know, be a better character person as I move forward in life.
Well, the character also comes out in the music when you're doing your
does.
own music.
It does, yeah. I mean, I'm writing from a place of me.
Yeah.
And not just learning a song from somebody gave me per se.
Well, and I feel like you're also serving, like you've served so many people so amazingly in your pursuit of excellence for others, like to make Justin Timberlake's performance be what it is, as an example, that so many people around the world hear and are impacted by. So you're serving him, and that's incredible. But when you're doing that same thing for yourself,
Yeah,
that's when you're really serving the creator,
for sure.
or like that deeper thing that
Yeah.
will give this your
It's
unique...
a gift and a curse, man. You end up second guessing yourself
Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we have been blessed to work with artists that have a pseudo machine behind them, or they have put in the work 20 years prior to us. You know what I mean? You know, somebody like a Justin Timberlake or a Dr. Dre or somebody, they have been in this business for 30, 35 years and doing it at a very high level. So I'm learning from these people as I work with them, but then I'm applying what I've learned from them to my own artistry as well.
Yeah.
And then that's where it can get very tricky, because when you apply it, you're also saying, do I have those same resources? Do I have that same money? Do I have that? 9 times out of 10, as a new artist, the answer is no. But how do you still make that level of excellence that you've done for these artists apply to yourself without possibly the same resources? And that's where relationships come in. You know what I mean? So I think about the, you know, mastering engineer that I have read on hundreds and hundreds of albums, and how he used to send me stems for an artist that I was playing for, and I was just so nice to him and all of this things. And so when it was time to do my record, I just said, hey, Jason Joshua, can you master my record? And he was like, sure, man. Like, I would love to. And so it's those type of relationships. I said, hey, you know, Questlove, can you play drums on a song for me, knowing what I've done for him and sewed into their artistry, the Roots crew who kind of like put me on and discovered me, but just staying nice and relevant and sweet to people and just a kind human being, you know what I mean? Because relationships, I can't afford as a new artist, right? Like Questlove to play,
Yeah.
or I can't afford Jason Joshua to mix or master, and I can't afford, you know, Robert Glasper or something like that. But the fact that these people are my friends, but also I've sold into them, so now they can sow into me, and I'm
paid
so
it
thankful.
forward.
Yeah, so thankful, and just being a nice person, that goes so far. It just goes so far to be
Relationships pay the
kind.
greatest dividends.
Yeah, just to be kind. The relational equity means more, I think, than any type of economic thing, because, you know, the goal, I heard Kanye say this, where it was like, you know, the goal is to almost like travel the world with nothing. And his thing said, call Balenciaga and get a pair of drawers. But I understand the concept, because it's like, if I know somebody with a flight hookup or a hotel hookup or a studio hookup or whatever,
You can do empty
you
suitcase.
can do
show
whatever,
up.
knowing that you have, you know,
Family.
and also sown into, at some point, their lives, that they want to help you and pay it back. So it's been cool to live like that in a music space. Everybody wants to make money, but how we are surviving in music right now is, I would say, very relationship based. You know what I mean? So that means a lot to me. I can call on people, and they know that they can call on me as well for whatever. So
I mean, this is so important now, especially in just this like time of everyone craving community. Like, you have inbuilt community because of all the relationships you've compounded over the years. And just, where does the sense of civic duty come from? Where does the sense of, you know, let me pull forward my son and these upcoming talented musicians?
Yeah, that's a
Give them
great question. I just, somebody gave me a chance. When I was 17 and 18 and 19, I remember, you know, meeting Derek Hodge. I was in the 8th grade, and he was in 10th or 11th, and he like just took me under his wing, and I saw him soar, and he had me right there with him. I remember my high school band teacher, Jeff Lesser, just this you know, older Caucasian guy who always pushed me and was like, I'm telling your mom, if you like you're my son here under this roof, in these 4 walls, while you're under my wing. I see greatness in you. I want you to do the best that you can do. I remember teachers and just, you know, aunties and church members and all of that just kind of like looking out and sacrificing for what they saw in me. And so I think I'm trying to do that for the younger generation and whoever, man. Like, it's good and bad at times, but if I have access to something, my family and friends know they have access to it too. You know what I mean? Because you never know what that one life-changing moment, one yes, can just set you up for good for your entire life. If somebody says no to me, I'm just the same place where I was. So no has never really affected me like I think it may affect some people. If I ask a question and say, no, the studio's unavailable, I still don't have a studio, or I still need a ride, or I still whatever. But one yes can literally change the life of young men. And so I'm trying to live by that moniker as well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I think, I mean, and the power of musical education too. Having grown up in Detroit and gotten, you know, my music director, Alan McNair, who trained up all these amazing classical violinists and classical, you know, kind of orchestral and chamber music greats. And to have my best friend, my stand partner, you know, now play in the Detroit Symphony for now over 20 years. It's just such an inspiring thing to have that, like, comprise your DNA, that discipline and that creativity, and to carry that through like an entire lifetime.
It's not easy, you know, it's not easy. I think that we get discouraged as creatives, you know, we you can't help but compare sometimes, and that's another thing that we shouldn't do, but you know, society does it, whether it's racially, whether it's genre-wise, whether it's, you know, this person is number 1 and you're number 2 in a chart or something like that, or nominations for a Grammy or anything like that. It's, you know, we didn't get into the music game for that, but when you start to feel that implemented on top of it, it can be a little discouraging. Some of my favorite artists continue to make music for themselves, not for anybody else, not for an accolade is what I mean by anybody else, and not for the lights and not even really for money. It just so happens that it's so authentic that it becomes popular music, you know what I mean? And so, you know, if you look at anybody in the last 10 years that's a new artist that's popping, it's because they made music that meant something to them.
Yep.
And they believed it so much that, well, dang, of course I believe Cardi now. You know what I'm saying? She's really living that. You know what I'm saying? Of course I believe, you know, Terrace Martin, you know, when he plays, because it's like he is really playing from a place of where he's from. You know what I mean? What the life that he's lived. Of course I believe Jelly Roll. You know, he's singing about a hardship that he's been through, and I hear it in his voice. And guess what? Maybe not the same exact hardship, but I've been through hardships too. So then it's like, I want my heartfelt hallelujah just like he got his, you know what I mean? And so we tend to, music has the power to bring us together, but the most successful music is made from a place of self-discipline, self-hurt, and self-love.
Man. That makes me reflect on the roots of American music, of modern American music. I mean, Charlie Parker, his experience, John Coltrane, writing Alabama,
Ray Brown, all of them, Billy,
and then all the way to NWA, writing about what they were experiencing.
Yeah, man.
Creating a whole wave that influenced.
For sure, and even you know, being able to see the come up of like the Beastie Boys. You know what I'm saying? And then Beastie Boys to NWA to somebody like my bro Eminem, who like combined both of those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and speaking of excellence, of the pursuit of excellence, man, Eminem. What do you think about? Could you tell me a little bit more about what excellence means to you in music? Like like what it's like to pursue it. It's something that people don't talk about that much.
Yeah, I you know, the pursuit of excellence is also the pursuit of happiness. And you have to do and say and play and hear what makes you happy. My excellent mix may not be the same excellent mix as somebody else. I've also think that I've heard terrible mixes that mine might be different or better than, and it's like, now there's a song of the year, you know what I mean? And it gives me a different perspective to either not think as much and really give the art, or in a case like a Justin Timberlake or a Bruno Mars or Jill Scott, you know, they take 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years to do the next record because they want it to be as excellent for themselves. And so I'm thankful that you know, it's just a spectrum, I think, of what excellence means. I think for anybody that wants to be excellent, it's a self-pride thing. When you walk into a room, how do you feel about the work that you've done? And I think that once you feel proud about it, others will follow suit as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's almost your identity.
It is.
Is excellence.
It is. And then you see what feels excellent to you, and then now you have a barometer to kind of like move in that way. If it's less than what you thought was your best, then it's not excellent. You know what I mean? I see a lot of people like at the gym and working out and stuff on Instagram and all of that. There's a company called Army, and the guy Atkins says, be better than your best. You know what I mean? So if you think that you want to stop and it's cool, try it one more time and see what comes out of that next gear. You know what I mean? And I know Dr. Dre takes that same moniker too. Like while he's mixing, it's like, oh, that sounds great. The next day he'll be like, I got it better. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, sometimes us as jazz musicians as well, we're in the moment. That's what improvisation is. It's like there's no wrong thing. But as you study and as you practice, you do know how to move through things, and that's what the rehearsal and the practice is for. Because not that it wasn't good one day, but a week from now when you really study, it might be better. You know what I mean? So I've always done that as well with my records, where it's like, let me revisit it in a little while, you know what I mean? And just see if I can make it better than what I actually think is great already.
Yeah, and that can be a hard and painful process too.
It is hard and painful. At some point, you got to have somebody say, "Okay, it's great," but that's why you operate in excellence. So any stage of it is great. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't believe in the demo, man, no more.
Yeah,
I just really
absolutely.
don't. There are too many tools, too much technology for me to have to hear through what a song could be. Now that's just me. I want it to sound great leaving the studio.
Yep.
The first pass.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I want the reverb on there. I want the delays. I want it all. Because I've also seen how the Quincy's and the Chris Godby, who engineers with Justin and all these other people, and like the templates are just like, it sounds like the radio when it leaves.
And they're not doing 20 takes.
And they're not doing a bunch of takes. It's like, you know, the craft that they've begun to master is always at the forefront. So they're doing it all in excellence at every take.
Yep.
You know, so I want to operate in that as well. No matter what I touch, no matter how I leave it, it should be good. If somebody randomly walked in and listened to a song of mine on a demo one, it would be good and great to be like, I know who this is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, well, this comes from someone who's had to deliver live
Yes.
to
That's a whole nother beast.
millions of people.
Yeah.
Like, how do you cultivate that kind of excellence in real time? Just time slowed down? How do you coordinate all the rehearsals, the preparation, but then just deliver in the moment?
So what I do think, I was just talking about this earlier, I think that the hard work comes in the preparation.
Yeah.
And I prep hard. I like long rehearsal days. I'm not gonna say I like it, but I'll do long rehearsal days. I'll take weeks to prep, because once you have it down, the actual gig is just fun after that. You know what I'm saying? There ends up being a little bit of pressure if I'm on TV or something like that, just because I'm worried about if the camera's gonna fall over, or if the string player's gonna pop a string, or my bass strap is gonna fall off. But as far as like the actual preparation for what we're there to do, or as far as the actual gig of what we're there to do, it starts with the preparation. So that's kind of how I look at life. You know what I mean? Like, I want to prepare as best as possible, no matter what I'm doing. I want to get the proper people and team around me to be better than me, so that they can help pull me up. Because as a musical director now for a bunch of elite artists, I'm not just thinking about music. I'm thinking about so many other things: logistics, where we're rehearsing, how many days are we rehearsing, the budgets, what studio are we going to? And so, being the smartest in the room is also always not cool for me. You know what I mean? I want to always learn from my peers around me. They are my peers. They hold me up. They hold me accountable. Hey, that's not a C. That's a C sharp right there. Let's get it together. And I say, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, because when we go on stage or people see us, I get the credit for it being great, but I also get the credit for it being bad if it's bad as well. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, we're a team. I pride myself on tagging everybody and bigging up people. And somebody told me I was one of the first people to do that on Twitter back in the day, where I was just like, hey, this is not just me. I didn't do this by myself. There's 12 other guys that I couldn't have done this without.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I always want to big up.
That's beautiful, the way you celebrate other people.
Yeah, I have to, because, again, like I said, I get the praise when it's great, but if it's not good, I'm gonna step up and take that as well. But what happens is, when you start working with the same people, we hopefully have the same level of excellence and brainchild as when it comes to what we all want the final outcome to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they follow me. A great leader is also a great follower, so I follow them sometimes. And the outcome 9.9999 times out of 10 is always great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was an interesting Steve Jobs quote that really resonated with me that I read the other day, where he said that if you're when you're running an organization, whether it's music directing something, or for me it's running this studio, if you surround yourself with really great people, the leader ends up being the servant.
Yeah.
Like it's now my
steward.
job to serve the people around me, because
I love that.
if they're not happy, they're going to leave and they can get another job in 10 seconds.
That's right.
And work somewhere else.
I love that. The leader ends up being the servant. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true, man. It's like, I don't want none of my team to leave me. You know what I mean? It's like, that's going to make my job that's already hard even harder. You know what I'm saying? So it's been cool to serve, as you just said, like the people that end up, thinking that they're serving me. You know what I mean? So I'm thankful for that.
Amazing.
Yeah, it creates an incredible team dynamic that way.
Yeah.
And you see that in all the stuff that you do. God, there's like massive teams that are creating, and you really don't get that from that many of the top artists, at least the ones that I've worked with have tended to be more like trying to keep people in the background so that they can be the
I just
person.
can't do that, man. I wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll tell the artist, why don't you ask, I'm Justin Timberlake, for instance. It's like I'll say, hey, Justin, go talk to our keyboard player, Justin Gilbert, about your idea and the chord, and like see what he's hearing you know what I mean? So then that allows the artist to then walk over to the drummer and say, how about this, try this. And then at the end of it all, Justin will say, well, Adam, or he calls me Black, what, do you think that those things make sense? And I'll say, hey, that one made great sense. This one, let's try it this way maybe. But then I'm trying to just reference his idea to make it, to execute it in what he's hearing in his head. And I do that for every artist. It's like, as a musical director, man, I'm here to bring their vision to light, not to implement my own vision. If that was the case, I would just, be Rihanna or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's my job to execute their vision, and I take pride in that. I really do.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so lovely and so noble. So
Awesome.
What are you going to prioritize next?
Raising my children. I'm prioritizing making sure that they have all access to anything that I have access to, and just having them follow their dreams and me supporting their dreams for sure. So it happens to be in the arts probably for both of them.
Yeah.
So I can't escape it.
Well, tell us about Adam's podcast.
Yeah, Adam is doing a podcast called The Boys. Him and his buddy Justin Wilson II, who is an incredible musician in his own right. And my son just speaks so intelligently. He has so many amazing thoughts and ideas. So I just want him to bring those to fruition and just, show the same support that my parents were able to show me. So that's where we are. And then, I got the normal music stuff happening. Grammys coming up, Super Bowl, NBA All-Star, Oscar weekend. We got Roots Picnic this summer. I'm creative director over at the Sunrose Hotel now, so that's been cool.
Amazing. You used to do Wawa Welcome America, right?
Wawa Welcome America, I just did as well for New Year's Eve.
Amazing.
Yep, because we didn't do it last summer super big.
Because it's usually July 4th.
Yeah, but we did it for New Year's Eve. That just happened a couple weeks ago, so that was cool out on the Parkway.
Gotta see that.
And this year is also the 250-year anniversary of America. So there are some big things going on and celebrations that I'll be a part of. So I'm just...
Tell us some more. What are you going to take
That's
part
all
in?
I can say.
Okay, it's a top secret thing. I see.
Yes, but we're going to have some big shows and, I'm as well as working the shows, I'm very... gun-ho on telling the complete America story and not hopefully leaving anything out when it comes to the music side of it. You know, that
100%.
blues, rhythm and blues, jazz, rock and roll, pop, country. Like, I just want it to be all in. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I just want it to be all encompassing. Classical, there's so many elements of music that has helped shape America. There's no one thing. One thing actually inspires something else. So I'm hoping that we get to tell the complete America story through music.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank y'all for having me, though.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Adam.
All right, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Thank
Man,
you,
such a pleasure. Thank you, my
Appreciate
brother.
Yes, sir.